on BK. He told Detective Montfort he didn't have time to clean up. He had just pulled his wife, the universal source of all that blood, and moved her, put the towel underneath her, wiped her with it, according to him, then put a mattress padding above the towel and got her, who was too awkward to move, on top of these items. His hands do not show any signs of blood.
An act that was not merely negligent, justified, or excusable, and which caused death. The defendant has entered a plea of not guilty. This means you must presume or believe the defendant is innocent. The presumption stays with the defendant as to each material allegation in the indictment through each stage of the trial, unless it has been overcome by the evidence to the exclusion of and beyond a reasonable doubt. To overcome the defendant's presumption of innocence, the state has the burden of proving the crime with which the defendant is charged was committed, and the defendant is the person who committed the crime. The defendant is not required to present evidence or prove anything. Whenever the words reasonable doubt are used, you must consider the following. A reasonable doubt is not a mere possible doubt, a speculative, imaginary, or forced doubt. Such a doubt must not influence you to return a verdict of not guilty if you have an abiding conviction of guilt. On the other hand, if after carefully considering, comparing, and weighing all the evidence, there's not an abiding conviction of guilt, or if having a conviction is one which is not stable, but one which wavers and vacillates, then the charge is not proved beyond every reasonable doubt, and you must find the defendant not guilty because the doubt is reasonable. It's to the evidence introduced in this trial and to it alone that you're to look for that proof. A reasonable doubt as to the guilt of the defendant may arise from the evidence, conflict in the evidence, or lack of evidence. If you have a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. Let me try that again. If you have a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. If you have no reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. It's up to you to decide which evidence is reliable. You should use your common sense in deciding which evidence is the best evidence and which evidence should not be relied upon in considering your verdict. You may find some of the evidence not reliable or less reliable than other evidence. You should consider how the witness acted as well as what they said. Some things you should consider are: 1, did the witness seem to have an opportunity to see and know the things about which the witness testified? 2, did the witness seem to have an accurate memory? 3, was the witness honest and straightforward in answering the attorney's questions? 4, did the witness testimony agree with other testimony and other evidence in the case? 6, did the witness at some other time make a statement that's inconsistent with the testimony he or she gave in court? Whether the state has met its burden of proof does not depend on the number of witnesses it has called or the number of exhibits it's offered, but instead on the nature and quality of the evidence presented. The fact that a witness is employed in law enforcement does not mean that his or her testimony deserves more or less consideration than that of any other witness. Expert witnesses are like other witnesses with one exception. The law permits an expert witness to give his or her opinion. However, an expert's opinion is reliable only when given on a subject about which you believe him or her to be an expert. Like other witnesses, you may believe or disbelieve all or any part of an expert's testimony. It's entirely proper for a lawyer to talk to a witness about what testimony the witness would give if called to the courtroom. The witness should not be discredited by talking to a lawyer about his or her testimony. You may rely upon your own conclusions about the credibility of the witness. A juror may believe or disbelieve all or any part of evidence or the testimony of any witness. The Constitution requires the state to prove its accusation against the defendant. It is not necessary for the defendant to disprove anything, nor is the defendant required to prove his innocence. It's up to the state to prove the defendant's guilt by evidence. The defendant exercised a fundamental right by choosing not to be a witness in this case. You must not view this as an admission of guilt or be influenced in any way by his decision. No juror should ever be concerned the defendant did or did not take the witness stand to give testimony in the case. A statement claimed to have been made by the defendant outside of court has been placed before you. Such a statement should always be considered with caution and weighed with great care to make certain it was freely and voluntarily made. Therefore, you must determine from the evidence that the defendant's alleged statement was knowingly, voluntarily, and freely made. In making this determination, you should consider the total circumstances, including but not limited to whether, when the defendant made the statement, he had been threatened in order to get him to make it, and two, whether anyone had promised him anything in order to get him to make it. If you conclude the defendant's out-of-court statement was not freely and voluntarily made, you should disregard it. These are some general rules that apply to your discussion. You must follow these rules in order to return a lawful verdict. 1, you must follow the law as it's set out in these instructions. If you fail to follow the law, your verdict will be a miscarriage of justice. There's no reason for failing to follow the law in this case. All of us are depending upon you to make a wise and legal decision in this matter. 2, this case must be decided only upon the evidence that you've heard from the testimony of the witnesses and have seen in the form of the exhibits and evidence and these instructions. 3, this case must not be decided for or against anyone because you feel sorry for anyone or you're angry at anyone. 4, remember the lawyers are not on trial. Your feelings about them should not influence your decision in this case. 5, your duty is to determine if the defendant has been proven guilty or not in accord with the law. It's my job to determine a proper sentence if the defendant is found guilty. 6, whatever verdict you render must be unanimous. That is, each juror must agree to the same verdict. 7, your verdict should not be influenced by feelings of prejudice, bias, or sympathy. Your verdict must be based on the evidence and the law contained in these instructions. Deciding a verdict is exclusively your job. I cannot participate in that decision in any way. Please disregard anything I may have said or done that made you think I preferred one verdict over another. You may find the defendant guilty as charged in the indictment or guilty of such a lesser included crime as the evidence may justify, or not guilty. If you return a verdict of guilty, it should be for the highest offense which has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. If you find no offense has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then of course your verdict must be not guilty. The verdict must be unanimous. That is, all of you must agree to the same verdict. Only one verdict may be returned as to the crime charged. The verdict must be in writing, and for your convenience, the necessary verdict form has been prepared for you. It is as follows. Starts with the state of Florida versus David Tronnes. Has our court, has the case number, has the charges. Verdict, we the jury find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. We the jury find the defendant guilty of lesser included offense of second-degree murder. We the jury find the defendant guilty of lesser included offense of manslaughter. We the jury find the defendant not guilty. So say we all, and then a place for a date and a signature line for the foreperson. In just a few moments, you will be taken to the jury room by the court deputy. The first thing you should do is choose a foreperson who will preside over your deliberations. The foreperson should see to it that discussions are carried on in an organized way and that everyone has a fair chance to be heard. It's also the foreperson's job to sign, date, and bring the verdict form back when all of you agreed on a verdict. During deliberations, jurors must communicate about the case only with one another and only when all jurors are present in the jury room. If a juror goes to the restroom, the deliberation should stop until the juror returns. You're not to communicate with any person outside the jury about this case. Until you've reached a verdict, you must not talk about this case in person, through telephone, writing, electronic communication, such as blog, Twitter, email, text message, or any other means. Do not contact anyone to assist you during deliberations. These communication rules, I remind you, apply until I discharge you at the end of the case. If you become aware of a violation of these instructions or any other instruction I've given in this case, you must tell me immediately by giving a note to the court deputy. Many of you have cell phones, tablets, laptops, other electronic devices, smartwatches here in the courtroom. The rules do not allow you to bring any of those devices into the jury room. The deputies will provide storage for you and watch over them and guard them while you deliberate. If you need to communicate with me, send a note to the court deputy signed by the foreperson. If you have voted, do not disclose the actual vote in the note. If you have a question, I'll talk to the attorneys before I answer, so it may take some time. You may continue your deliberations while you wait for my answer. I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court. During the trial, items were received in the evidence as exhibits. You may examine whatever exhibits you think will help you in your deliberations. Some of those exhibits will be sent into the jury room with you when you begin to deliberate. If you wish to see any additional exhibits, please request that in writing. An evidence log will be provided to you. In closing, let me remind you that it's important you follow the laws that spelled out in these instructions in deciding your verdict. There are no other laws that apply to this case. Even if you do not like the laws that must be applied, you must use them. For over 2 centuries, we have lived by the Constitution and the law. No one juror has the right to violate the rules we all share. Mr. Patrick Barnes, Kenneth, and Camila Alejandro Vasquez Leon, you 3 were selected, 3 of the last 4 as alternates because you were selected last year, the alternates. So your job is just about finished. If you have any, do each of you, does any of you have, do you have any items in the jury room? None? Okay, then if you will remain seated here, the remaining ones of you, if you will take your notepads with you and follow the deputy out for deliberations. Instructions. Did you remember something that you have in the back? Yeah. What is it so the deputy can get it for you? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Please hit that thumbs up for me.
Your consideration, your thoughts, your attention of this trial. Um, Obviously, the job of alternates is incredibly important. You can imagine if we got to this place and there wasn't enough jurors to go back to the jury room for whatever reason, we would have to start the process all over again. So we have this safeguard where we bring in extra jurors so that we can call upon the alternates if that indeed is necessary. You're welcome now to talk about this case with anyone. You're also welcome to refuse to talk to anyone. It's completely up to you. You're welcome to stay or leave. If you leave, if you stay and you can talk with anyone you want to. If you decide to leave, you should know that if you become curious as to what happened, you could probably watch TV, but absent that, you can also call my office and we'll let you know what the ultimate outcome was. Thank you again. And I sometimes have this conversation at the end with jurors. Everyone doesn't have the job that we have. Do make sure that you use the resources you need if you need resources for anything. And if you need to call our court administration, we can help you find that. And you can follow the deputy out. I think there might be some food and they'll grab that food too, but you'll be going that way. State defense, any objection to the instructions as given?
No, Your Honor. None, Your Honor.
And will you each approach, decide what evidence is going back and include the laptop if you're doing that, make sure there's no objection to that. After which case, after you guys agree to all of that, if you will leave your number with the court reporter, with the clerk, so that we can contact you if needed. Do take the first hour and 15 minutes, somewhere in there, and allow yourself to go have some proper nourishment. I won't call you back before 2:15 or 3:15 so that you have enough service. We might call you to let you know, but we won't require you to be back before then. Otherwise, be within 15 minutes so that you can come back if there's any questions.
Does anybody object to me labeling what I used in closing the state republic?
Defense, any objection?
Rather than 20 discs, what I wanted.
No.
I think it gets tagged in the record.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, there's contraband guns. Did anything get marked for ID not put in? It was a couple of hard copies.
Let's go through that and make sure before it goes back to them. State defense, quite important.
So, hey, Queen Aleph. So they're about to go through all that 100 pieces of evidence to see what's going back in the.
Do you want it since it didn't come in? Right? You don't? No, because I didn't. You didn't.
On the instruction plea of not guilty, I mistakenly had the state change the wrong sentence, thinking it was opposite of that. I reprinted copies, however, because of my wonderful secretarial skills, they've come out differently. Do you have any objection to that? Me going back with the plea of not guilty the correct way. It's going to have that. On the other side is going to have a manslaughter instruction. Any objection?
No objection for the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I hastily added that must that you wanted, and I didn't noticed that I had already put must where
Right.
people wanted.
Right.
But then I thought, well, the other pardons have been outlawed. Maybe she just won this.
No. No, 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 no.
Alright. Thank you.
Okay, here they start deliberations. I will fast forward and we will find out the verdict. Yes, girl, you saw them pink cups? Jury question. If she's not going to read it out loud, I'm fast forwarding. I swear, this dude is disgusting. He has the most guilty smirks on his face that I've been watching throughout, and I don't know. He's just, yeah, he's so guilty. Yeah, buddy, here we go. What do y'all think? Or if you've watched all the days of the child, I think he's absolutely 100% guilty. No doubt about it, in my opinion.
Good evening. It's my understanding you've reached a verdict. Will you hand the verdict form to the court deputy, please?
State of Florida versus David Tronnes, case number 2020 CF 12472 AL, the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Port Orange County, Florida. Verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. So it says we all, dated at Orlando County, Orange County, Florida, on the 18th day of October 2023, signed by the foreperson.
Does either the state or the defense wish?
You guys, that was her son. Look at it. Look at him. I feel so bad for him, you guys. He's such a cute little dude. What? All right, here we go. What? Okay, so when they go to the gallery, watch the little boy. It's her son.
Good evening. It's my understanding you've reached a verdict. Will you hand the verdict form to the court deputy, please?
I went back too much, but watch right after the verdict.
State of Florida versus David Tronnes, case number 2020 CF 12472 AL, the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Port Orange County, Florida. Verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. So it says we all, dated at Orlando County, Orange County, Florida, on the 18th day of October 2023, signed by the foreperson.
Does either the state or the defense wish to have the jury polled?
Do, Your Honor.
Juror number 493, is this your true and accurate verdict? Yes. Juror number 486, is this your true and accurate verdict? Juror number 142, is this your true and accurate verdict? Juror number 121, is this your true and accurate verdict?
I am so glad that this family right here is getting justice. That poor little guy right there has to grow up without a mother because of David. And thank the Lord he was found guilty. And this family now has justice for Shanti.
Juror number 88, is this your true and accurate verdict? Yes. Juror number 143, is this your true and accurate verdict? Yes. Juror number 624, is this your true and accurate verdict? Yes. Juror number 714, is this your true and accurate verdict? Yes. Juror number 481, is this your true and accurate verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 149, is this your true and accurate verdict? Juror number 273, is this your true and accurate verdict? Juror number 704, is this your true and accurate verdict?
Yes. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for your time and consideration of this case. I also wish to advise you of some special.
I'm sorry I keep pausing it, you guys, but this is, I feel like crying. This is really breaking my heart. Look at this little dude. Sad, y'all, sad. And why?
Privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that happen in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We've recognized for hundreds of years that juries' deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you this unique privilege not to speak to anyone about the juror's work. Although you're now at liberty to speak with anyone about your deliberations, you are also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. It's up to each one of you individually. A request to discuss your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. It's up to you each individually to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. And again, thank you, and you can follow the deputy out.
I wonder how many victim impact statements that they have.
Any legal reason not to proceed to sentencing?
Not from the state.
Oh, he's getting sentenced today?
Press one, Your Honor. I don't believe we've got much option here.
All right, thank you. State witnesses?
Yes. Jeffrey Dow.
All right, guys.
You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Would you please state and spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Legal name, first name Norman, Norman, middle name Jeffrey, last name Dow, Dow.
Is there anything you'd like to tell the court? Please direct your comments to the court, not the defendant, prior to the court passing sentence.
Yes, Your Honor. This has been a long, long
I have no idea what is going on here. And it is making me very, very, very upset. This is the part we want to hear. I just do. Oh my God, dude. I am so silly. Please work. Let's go. We need to hear this. All right, let me share it. Here we go. Oh, it's her dad. All right, let's go back. I am sorry, guys. I don't know what the F happened here. Okay, this is her dad.
See justice done.
Here we go.
What this has done to me personally, this was more than my stepdaughter. This was my daughter. And what I go through every day. It's hard to put into words, but yet I need to express. I suffer so much with PTSD. This has affected me so much that it withdrew me from my grandson. Because every time I thought of Shanti or my grandson, the last time I saw my daughter, we were together. So every time that I think of Jackson, it brings to my mind my daughter, and it upsets me. And all I can pray is that now that we can go forward from this day forward, we can rebuild our relationship that we had. I suffer so bad when I was a happy-go-lucky person, laugh, joke all the time with everybody. Now I am in constant anger. That not really anger, but I just lash out at sometimes at anybody or everybody for no reason at all, because I am so angry and deep inside, hurt with the injustice that was done to my daughter. That's about all I can. I mean, I could probably, that's all.
Thank you. Defense, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Wait a minute. Why is the defense allowed to question?
James Cooper? Jackson Cooper?
All right, guys, here we go. Her son is about to speak, and get your tissues out.
Are you each making a statement? Will you both raise your right hand to be sworn, please? I do.
Jackson, Jackson, Cooper, Cooper.
James Cooper, Jamescooper.
And my understanding you go first.
Jackson.
Jackson, just direct your comments to the court.
Your Honor, my mom was the best person I ever knew. She worked a lot, but she never put her family over work.
Jackson, take your time. for 1 second.
I want them to show his face while this little boy speaks. I am so livid right now.
Early 2018, she was taken from me and my family. It's like a hole in my heart that I can't fill or fix. She didn't die peacefully. She did not deserve anything that happened to her that night. My family and I have been waiting for about 5 years for justice. I miss her so much. I would have never thought the day before was the last time I would see my mother alive. I miss the times where we would go to Universal or just the simple times like walking the dogs or going to the park. She was the best mom I could ever ask for. That's it.
Defense, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jackson.
Your Honor, when Shanti and I were married, we tried for years to have a child with no success. It was an extremely difficult time for us, and we were about to give up when we got the wonderful news in early 2009. We did our best to raise him together, but as you know in life, it is not without its curveballs and heartaches. And when we divorced, as difficult as it was, one thing we never fought or wavered on was raising Jackson the best we could. He's tall like his dad, but he got his brains, his compassion, and his outlook on life from his mother. And her and I moved forward and continued raising a wonderful son. When this parasite came into our lives, he took something from us, and most importantly from Jackson. And what he took is not replaceable. It is something that I struggle with every day. He lost a good parent. It is still unfathomable to me what he did to her and what he put Jackson through. He knew and he saw firsthand how special their bond was, and he still tortured him and brutally ripped her from this world, our lives, and Jackson's. As I've struggled to understand, to this day, the only word I come back to is evil. Only evil would do what he did to her and Jackson when he had the choice not to do what he did. For every wonderful achievement he experiences, as the young children do when they grow up, it bothers me as we experience these moments that not only is she not here because of this parasite, but that I have to think of what he did during these wonderful moments. Awards at school, great report cards, acting in a school play. And I don't know if that will ever change, but it makes me so proud to see him flourish, knowing she had an everlasting impact on him, despite what this parasite did. After today, her name will be spoken every day by someone who knew her and loved her. She will be remembered and thought of every single day because of who she was and is. People will know her, will look at him and know she is inside him and smile. And because of all this, she will never be forgotten and she will always be with us. After today, this parasite's name will never be spoken again. Anyone who knew him will forget him. He will never be remembered or thought of after today. No one will ever call or visit him where he's going. He will be forgotten, and he will not even be a footnote in this world. If Your Honor does what she is supposed to and do what is right, then that will only be a fraction of what he deserves for what he did to her. Thank you.
Defense, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Both can return to the gallery. State, any other witnesses?
Reading an impact statement from one of her friends, Melissa Brzezinski. Thank you to everyone involved who has been on this long journey to see justice through for Shanti, especially to the jurors who listened with compassion and open hearts. It is hard to put 25 years of friendship, love, laughter, tears, and memories into a short paragraph of someone who you love so much. I met Shanti when we were in college, and she was exactly who she was described as: smart, diligent, ambitious, persistent, organized, focused, goal-oriented, and independent. What was explained was how she was strong, fun, social, loyal, authentic, but most of all, a loving mother and friend. She always worked so hard, often not getting to reap the benefits of her success because she was so intensely focused on building a future and a legacy for Jackson. As you can imagine, Jackson was the inspiration behind all that she was living for and building. There is a deep void with the loss of Shanti being gone. I often feel her presence, and most of the time it feels like her nudging me to do better, work harder, and focus, and I hope she keeps doing that. I miss her because despite our differences in personality, we were also very similar. She might be gone, but she will never die. She will live forever through our memories and through the great life Jackson is and will continue living. Jackson, your mom would have wanted you to always do your best. Look at life as beautiful and don't take anything from anyone. All of us are here in her honor, and you have an army of people that loved your mom that will always be here for you no matter what.
Thank you, State. Defense, any witnesses?
Witness. David.
I'll give them a chance to talk last. Do you have any other witnesses?
No.
All right. And then state argument?
There's only one sentence the court can pass at this point. No score sheet is required. The state will be waiving restitution and cost of investigations due to the sentence.
Defense?
I would agree with Mr. J's assessment.
Mr. Tronnes, anything you wish to say prior to sentencing? I think you just said no, is that right? Then in this case, CF 1812472, the court will adjudicate you guilty. Will sentence you to life imprisonment with credit 1877 days. Impose all the statutory required court cost, fees, cost of prosecution. And state any objection to that being turned to a civil judgment?
No, Your Honor, and I believe the verdict form, if I heard correctly, the styling might have been 2020. It should be 2018.
This really angers me that he cannot apologize. or something to that little boy.
Defense, it does say 2020 on the actual case number. Any objection to me modifying it on writing? I'm just writing it in blue pen and then initialing it. And that's, of course, with the minimum mandatory. Anything further state?
Your Honor, thank you.
Defense? Sir, you have 30 days in which to appeal the judgment and sentence. If you can't afford an attorney will be appointed to represent you. Any appeal must be in writing. Any questions? Anything further state?
Your Honor, if I could approach the DNA order.
Thank you. Any objection to the DNA order? Luck to you, sir. And the court will be in recess.
Guilty, life in prison, and why didn't you apologize to Jackson? Bruh. Go ahead and spend the rest of your life in prison where you belong, and the family has justice, and you go rot and then go to hell. How about that? Yes, he's ruined his life forever. He has to grow up without a mother. Well, I don't know about a stepmom, but he, mm, I just think that he could have apologized to Jackson or said something to the family. And then he looked so upset when he was found guilty with life. Did y'all see that? Bro, I told Queen Olive I wanted to throat punch him because he's just like, I don't know. Definitely a coward. Definitely. And it's so sad that his dad has to raise him single without a mom and, do everything that moms are supposed to do with him. And like he said, report cards, awards, school stuff, things that that they're proud of. She's watching down from heaven, I'm sure, but it's not the same as her being there. But hopefully with time and maybe therapy, he'll be able to get through this. Guilty life, and you suck, dude. Y'all have a good day. I will be live tonight with Route 666, the Devil's Highway.